Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the newest edition of Dalescenter right here on YouTube. I'm your host, daletanhardt, and we've got a stacked NASCAR betting weekend. I've already got 3 full cards ready to give you right here for NASCAR at Homstead-Miami Speedway this weekend. Lines at the bottom of your screen, courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook for the Straight Talk Wireless 400. Kind of irks me a little bit. We appreciate the sponsor up here, but I feel like the sponsor needs to be something pink and blue, give you a little bit of Miami Vice vibe. It's just me bitching. At the end of the day, who gives a damn? We appreciate the sponsor, new sponsor for this race. And we've got a stacked weekend of racing, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. And then you have Cup qualifying, which by the time you see this, you're probably not going to be here in time to see my Cup qualifying bets. But if you follow the program, you know I'll have them on Twitter and in the Dalescenter NASCAR Discord. All my links available in the YouTube description below. But 4 bettable events this weekend, which has been kind of a rarity over the past, 2 months. Great to get a triple header. Wish we could get some night racing at Homestead. I feel like Homstead-Miami is meant for evening to night transition races. It's actually crazy because trucks, I think noon Eastern time, Xfinity 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, and then the Cup races at like 2 o'clock or whatever. So. But I do want to explain something real quick for people asking. I get a lot of questions and DMs about Dalescenter, why we haven't been as consistent. And quite frankly, when you look at all the content that I do on a weekly basis, some on a daily basis, when it comes to editing behind the scenes of everything I put on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, here, and Kick with the live streams 4 to 6 days a week, I'm just burnt out on not the content, but editing this. Nobody sees the editing that goes into this type of stuff. I'm still betting nonstop every single week. I'm giving comprehensive, intricate betting cards that as of recent have been red fucking hot. It's just behind the scenes editing for something that doesn't perform on YouTube. Especially when you see how my content performs on other platforms, how my growth has been, pretty exponential in 2024. The YouTube stuff, and in particular, the betting content, it's just a struggle. And anybody who does NASCAR betting content that does everything in-house, everything on their own, can relate. And just to add on to that, I guess a good way to put it, anybody who does NASCAR betting content, anybody that gives out NASCAR bets, they see everything analytically in their video content. And we're all just a bunch of ants battling to be at the top of the ant bed. And that's just the way it is. But that's kind of just a little explanation on kind of why I haven't been as consistent with these. And I hope you can understand, because if you look at all my platforms, my growth has been awesome in 2024. I'm having a lot of fun, still having a lot of fun with bets, being a degenerate in the football side, an expert in the NASCAR side, still hopping on SiriusXM radio on Sundays. Just the video content itself can be a pain in the ass when you just have as much overload as I have as a content creator in the NASCAR world. So that's why the Dalescenters have been less often, because it's my worst performing anything that I do. And that is frustrating, but like I said, NASCAR betting, very niche. We're all just a bunch of ants in this field when it comes to NASCAR betting in particular. But you don't give a fuck about that. You're here to see bets. You're here to get some bets. We've hit 4 betting cards in a row dating back to the Cup race at the Roval couple weeks back. We swept last weekend at Vegas, and I'm very confident heading into Homestead-Miami Speedway this weekend. And I'm going to go ahead and start with qualifying. Now, let's consider something that I noticed in 2023. We had an early morning qualifying session, and when you get an early morning session in NASCAR, one big key, especially with how sensitive these fucking cars are in the NASCAR Cup Series, is heat, track temperature. And when we get a morning practice session, morning qualifying, you're going to have a drastic temperature change from the early AM to 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock noon. And actually, if you look at the weather app, last time I checked about 20 minutes ago, the temperature change between 8 a.m. to 10:30 is about 7 degrees. That is a huge, massive deal when we look at qualifying bets. And as the track gets hotter, speeds are going to slow down. And we saw this last year. Group A and Group B, top 10 in qualifying, Martin Truex Jr. won the pole, and he went out early in the session. He went out in Group A. Nobody in Group B was able to match his time. Tyler Reddick came close at the very end. So one tip I would give, if you see this before qualifying, which is probably a long shot based upon how long it's going to take me to get this out, get it live on YouTube, focus on more guys in Group A than Group B. Now, I got 5 guys I'm betting on. I'm going with Tyler Reddick at plus 375, Group A. I'm going with Ryan Blaney plus 800, Group A. And I'm going with Ross Chastain plus 2,500, Group A. I got two drivers from Group B just because this is the situation. So I know that was poor explanation, but just bear with me here. I got William Byron, 6-1, plus 600. Won the pole here in 2022 and feels pretty due for a qualifying run that results in at least a top 3. So I think William Byron, when you look at the mile and a half on the intermediates, has just been so consistent. He is nearly a lock to make it into the second round of qualifying. So if you're going to look at Group B, go with William Byron. But Group A, I love Tyler Reddick. He almost got the pole last week. Thank goodness he didn't because I had Christopher Bell. But Tyler Reddick qualified second here last year, has been a machine in qualifying trim and race trim at similar racetracks. So give me Tyler Reddick. When they qualify, they're probably going to be up close to the wall. If you go back and look at the session last year, fastest guys were able to get up to the wall and nail the throttle off of turn number 4. So that benefits Tyler Reddick's driving style. They got to be hungry after going airborne and flipping at Las Vegas. There's nothing better they could do and could come out here on Saturday morning and get a pole. I think plus 375 is worth it. Now, I don't know if that line's going to move. That's via Canby, Bet Rivers in particular. All 5 lines I'm giving you are via Bet Rivers. Now, the last guy, I told you got 5 bets. Last guy, I threw in Carson Hocevar for a nickel. 66-1 for a kid that just has speed. He's in Group B, but kind of what I'm thinking here, all right? I just told you about Group A having an advantage, and track's going to keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and as it's getting hotter, drivers in Group B are going to have less time to get their cars cooled off, which could hurt their run for the pole. Hocevar is going out earlier than the playoff guys. Let's just say he sneaks in at 4th or 5th fastest in Group B. He's going to go out first in Group B, and maybe he could just lay something down real quick that's pretty good, and then everybody else in Group B doesn't replicate what they did in the first group because of all the variables I've just given out to you. Keep an eye on the temperature. That's a really, really big deal. I would think that someone in Group A is going to win the pole. And I know I told you Byron. If I'm going to look at Group B, give me William Byron and Carson Hocevar, who's had a lot of top 10 qualifying runs this year. Never know. 66-1, I think, is worth a shot. But main focus, Tyler Reddick to win the pole is easily my favorite out of everything. William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Carson Hocevar. Ross Chastain, 25-1, I think is a good bet. He's been pretty good at qualifying at similar racetracks in 2024. Kind of hot as of recent as well for a driver that didn't make the playoffs. So one more time, Reddick, Byron, Blaney, Chastain, Hocevar, my 5 bets to win the pole. Let's move on. I'm looking at BetMGM here because they just loaded top 3 and top 5 for the Craftsman Truck Series. This race is at noon Eastern time, and we're going to simplify it here. Corey Heim is going to win this race. And it may not even be close. BetMGM, from what I've seen, has the best line at plus 175. I think DraftKings has plus 150. Canby has plus 140. Give me Corey Heim plus 175. Best bet of the day, potentially. I put 3 units on it, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed that no craziness happens that affects Corey Heim. He led a lot of laps here last year, gave it away to Carson Hocevar, and he's primed to win the championship here in 2024 in the Craftsman Truck Series. So Corey Heim, plus 175, slam dunk to win this race. Now, if you want some long shots, if you're not interested in the Kyle Busch type of line that we're getting here with Corey Heim, that we get almost every week now, and honestly kind of sucks. Like, Corey Heim has kind of made it not fun to bet on trucks unless you bet on him every single time. And it's just the way it is. Dude is just ridiculous. Legit. And it's crazy watching all these other kids get Xfinity full-time rides. How the fuck does he not have it? It's unreal. How does he not have a ride? Corey Heim is a generational talent, and I know that's another topic. We're here to talk bets, but outside of Corey Heim, I'm looking at Lane Riggs, 12-1. We're going to keep it simple. Lane Riggs, last 3 races that don't include Talladega, so last 3 non-super speedway starts. First, second at 3 different racetracks. So give me Lane Riggs. Lap averages, they did not stay out long. They didn't run enough for us to have a sample of what their truck could be like on the long run. But from what I've seen over the past 4 races, this truck has been lights out. And Lane Riggs is confident. He's won 2 races. Give me Lane Riggs 12-1. I think he's worth a shot. I don't think he's going to beat Corey Heim, but shit, I mean, DraftKings has 9-1. Let me see what BetMGM has here. BetMGM has 8-1. I got him at 12-1 over on Bet Rivers. I want to see if that line is still there. Pulling up right now just to make sure. Tyler Reddick has moved to plus 350 for the poll. So that line has actually changed. If you gave a damn. Trucks. Lane Riggs still sitting at 12-1 at this time. You got time. You got time to get that. That's a good bet for a guy that's been red hot outside of Talladega. And then I'm going to go with Caden Honeycutt. Same concept. When it comes to Nice, and this is a very talented driver that's going to do some good shit, I think, in 2025 full-time with Nice. But when we look at Nice in particular, their strength has been tracks like this. 1.5 miles, intermediates, high-speed racetracks, even high-wear racetracks. Like, this is a medium high-wear racetrack we're at with Homestead. This is where Nice has showed up. This is where Caden Honeycutt has run super well. So give me Caden Honeycutt 18-1 via BetMGM. Plus 450 for a top 3, I think, is definitely worth a bet. When I look at the averages, Caden Honeycutt's got speed in that truck. I think they've got a good long-run truck that will hang around the top 5. Just cannot have the mechanical gremlins, and he can't have an issue on pit road. That has been the problem with Honeycutt when he's been in a Nice truck. Still think it's worth a shot. Because of where Corey Heim's at, you're getting some value with some of these other guys that I think have good race trucks, like a Caden Honeycutt. Another guy I think is fast is Nick Sanchez, but not worth plus 350 to me. I don't think he's good enough on the long run. Remember, trucks, you look at the lap averages and you're like, oh, 20 lap average, that's the guy, that's the guy, that's the guy. These are the best guys. Well, not necessarily, because stage 3 in this truck race is a 74 lap run. So what you need to pay attention to if you look at the NASCAR app and look at lap averages, literally do the math and count everybody's fall off every single 5-lap interval. And I think when you do that, you see that Corey Heim is really good. You see that Caden Honeycutt's really good. It appears that Grant Enfinger has some speed, but I'm going to stay away quite simply because they haven't been great on the 1.5 miles, on the intermediates, and they're already locked into the championship with a win at Talladega. So maybe just an experiment race for that team. That kind of makes me want to stay away from Enfinger. But when you look at that data, Honeycutt, Sanchez, Corey Heim, to me, are 3 guys that really, really stick out. So consider that when you look at lap averages, not just for trucks, but for Xfinity and Cup as well. And I got a few more bets for you. Daniel Dye is a guy that he's going full-time in Xfinity. He's got nothing to lose. He's in a good truck. McAnally, remember, people forget he's a teammate to Christian Eckes, who's probably going to be in the championship 4. One of the best drivers in the series in 2024. Good equipment. He's had some top 10s, had some top 5s. Give me a Daniel Dye top 3 at 18-1 and a Daniel Dye top 5 at 9-1. Both available on DraftKings Sportsbook. I think that's worth a play. When you look at Daniel Dye, some of his best performances have been on intermediate racetracks in 2024. Pit crew's been good. They haven't had a lot of mechanical gremlins. Watch out for Daniel Dye. He is a sneaky, sneaky play. He's got track position, and according to some of the data and lap averages, I think they've got a good truck. So give me Daniel Dye, good underdog play for a top 3 and a top 5. I went ahead and just hammered Lane Riggs top 5. If you can get a plus money, even money top 5 on Lane Riggs, which I got on DraftKings Sportsbook at plus 115. checking BetMGM right now. Even money on the dot on BetMGM. That's fine. You know, if you can find an even money bet for a top 5 on Lane Riggs, can be. They never have top 5s that I can bet. But DraftKings, BetMGM, check both those out before green flag. Get you a Lane Riggs top 5. This is a max bet for me. As hot as that team's been, I'm going to put it all on the line with Lane Riggs. So I've got 2 max bets in this with Corey Heim outright, Lane Riggs top 5. Told you about the Daniel Dye. Throw one more in there, another one via DraftKings Sportsbook. Tanner Gray for a top 5. The Tricon trucks look really good. Clearly something happened in qualifying. I think there's potential for Tanner Gray, who's had good runs here in the past, good runs on intermediate style racetracks, to get up into the top 10 and maybe compete for a top 5 if you get a little bit of chaos. 16-1 via DraftKings Sportsbook. Tanner Gray for a top 5. So, recapping all my bets. This is final. I'm not adding anything else for the Craftsman Truck Series race at Homestead. We're going Corey Heim outright at plus 175. Completely hammered it. 3 units. Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, 2 small outrights right there. Don't have to risk a lot because they're 12-1, 18-1, respectively. Top 3, Caden Honeycutt, plus 450. That's available on DraftKings and Canby. Daniel Dye, 18-1 top 3, available on DraftKings Sportsbook. Top 5, Lane Riggs, plus 115, available on DraftKings. That's a max bet, 3 units. Daniel Dye, 9-1 for a top 5, available on DraftKings. And Tanner Gray, 16-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook as well. So that's what I got for trucks. Time's running out. Better get it in. We're moving on to Xfinity with a doubleheader today. Now, Xfinity, this race was interesting last year. You had a lot of drama with playoff drivers. You had Dale Jr. in the race. He got himself a top 5. Probably didn't have a top 5 car, but you had problems with some of the favorites and guys that had really fast race cars, resulting in a Sam Mayer win with Riley Herbst chasing him down. It was a really, really good race. So with Xfinity, you're kind of in a boat of who is the favorite to win this race? I really don't know. I mean, the books loved Eric Almirola. Appreciate him for making us some money this year. He's been great on the mile and a half. To me, I'm not betting on Almirola just because of the practice data. That is it. It seems like they fall off worse than some other guys. And when you look at Almirola, what is he? 3.5-1, 4-1. Cole Custer's in that category. 3.5-1, 4-1. Was really good here last year. Same thing. I just think they don't have the best cars. And if you're going to put those guys at 3-1, 4-1 territory, excuse me, and I don't believe they have the best cars, I'm not going to pull the trigger. It's just not going to happen. So Xfinity, I'm not as confident in my outright plays, but I'm going to tell you what I like. I think the 2 fastest cars on the long run, we'll go 3. How about that? 3 fastest cars on the long run, I think, are Sheldon Creed. I know. Don't even stop shaking your head, okay? Fuck you. Sheldon Creed, 7-1. Riley Herbst, 10-1, who finished second in this race a year ago. Justin Allgaier, 12-1. Look, I'm not a big fan of betting on Allgaier, and he hasn't had great luck here at Homestead, great performance overall, but he's had speed at this exact type of racetrack, time in and time out. If they can just not make a mistake, I think Justin Allgaier will be in the conversation. And according to the long run speed, he's got another good long run car. It is so rare to see Justin Allgaier at this price. Seriously, I mean, typically he's in that category with a Custer, a Chandler Smith, or an Almirola. I mean, almost every week at 4 to 8-1 range. And he qualified 5th. It's not like he had a bad qualifying run. He had a good qualifying run. He had a good practice session. 12-1. Crazy. You got to bet it. So I think Creed, Herbst, and Allgaier have the 3 best cars in the long run. And you want an honorable mention? 4th fastest car in the long run, potentially, Ryan Sieg. I mean, how good was this guy last week at Vegas? Unreal. I had AJ Allmendinger, so I was kind of conflicted because I didn't bet on Sieg, but man, I wanted him to win. I really did, because he's been really fast and quite frankly kind of deserves a win with how good he's run and how good that team How much they've improved in 2024 has been crazy. So Ryan Sieg 30-1, 35-1 range, totally worth the sprinkle with how good that car's been. He didn't qualify well, but the long run speed appears to be there, along with his SHR counterparts. So Ryan Sieg, not just outright, but top 3 as well, plus 850 over on BetMGM. Totally worth it. Absolutely worth it. And I'm going back to an old reliable play here. So outside of all those guys I just mentioned, I'm betting a lot on Austin Hill on Saturday afternoon. Now, they've been very, very quiet recently. They haven't done a whole lot. You know, you run super well at Vegas in the spring, top 3, top 5, and then you come to Vegas last week, virtually a non-factor. I think he finished 10th. Outside of the super speedways and the little mini super speedway at Atlanta, RCR's bread and butter has been this type of racetrack. And Austin Hill ran 4th here last year. He's got the best pit crew in the series that we always hear the commentators brag about. This is their time to step up. They're in the playoffs. They have not done a lot outside of their wins at super speedways. But if we look away from the super speedways, this is the track type where they excel. And I think he's got a top 10, potentially a top 5 car. And the way I look at Austin Hill, if he's somewhere between 5th and 10th on speed, in my mind, his pit crew can get him to a top 5. His pit crew can help get him to a top 3. So give me Austin Hill, top 3, 6-1, top 5 plus 260, and in a head-to-head matchup, I can't believe this. This head-to-head matchup on DraftKings Sportsbook is crazy to me. Crazy. Before I say that, I also do have Austin Hill 25-1 outright, just for a sprinkle. We're going to focus more on the top 5 and the top 3. And you'll see my units in the Discord. Join the Discord. You'll see the link below in the YouTube description. I'll have a full card out in the AM. Now, the big bet. This is, I think, my biggest bet of the year. 4 units on Austin Hill head-to-head versus William Sawalich. And the line is still there and has had no movement. And I've got a physical slip waiting that I'm going to cash on Sunday night. Because it's a fucking lock. Austin Hill versus William Sawalich, a kid in a fast Gibbs car, but not a lot of experience. I just don't understand this line. It feels like bait. It really does, and it scares me. You got to go with it. It is not just an eye test play, not just hey, Austin Hill's a better driver than William Sawalich, has more experience. It is an analytical play of epic proportions. So I've got 4 units on it. I've got 4 fucking units. It is an ultimate lock of the universe. Austin Hill in the playoffs. RCR's been good at these racetracks. William Sawalich, not a lot of experience driving this race car. I would not be surprised if he wrecked, had a pit road penalty, all sorts of issues. Austin Hill head-to-head in this matchup, grand slam. It is the best. I told you earlier, Corey Heim might be the best bet of the day. No, it's this one right here. Austin Hill head-to-head over William Sawalich. Get it right now. And I'm going to pull up DraftKings one more time just to verify it. What's crazy to me is that they're ruling it like a toss-up. There it is. Unbelievable. Still minus 115. I just can't believe that line has not moved at all, especially from this morning. I mean, minus 115 on both sides. I don't care that he's in a Gibbs car. Don't care. Austin Hill all day. So that's what I got for Xfinity. Just to recap one more time, I'm not putting anything else. Sheldon Creed outright, Herbst outright, Allgaier outright, Hill outright, and Sieg outright. Oh, and I missed one bet actually. Austin Hill top 3, Ryan Sieg top 3, and I threw in a Jesse Love top 3 at 8-1 via DraftKings Sportsbook. That feels pretty long for a guy that's had good runs, similarly to Austin Hill, good at these type of racetracks. And I noticed in the practice speeds and the lap averages, this car seems to be pretty sporty. It might be better than Austin Hill's car based upon the lap averages. I like the experience of Austin Hill better. I like the pit crew better, but don't sleep on Jesse Love. Top 3, 8-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Worth a play. So that's what I got there. And then I got the Austin Hill top 5, and I got an Austin Hill head-to-head. Lock of the fucking universe. over Williams Sawalich minus 115 via DraftKings Sportsbook. So that's what I got. Now let's move on to Cup. The NASCAR Cup Series Straight Talk Wireless 400. So my strategy as of recent, I've plugged a few bets in the middle of the week, early in the week, periodically. I mean, Talladega, I bet everything, before qualifying because it just doesn't matter to me. We finished second and third for Talladega, of course, in a 3-wide finish. But when you look at everything else as of recent, been very successful waiting. And I've been preaching this a lot in my live streams that don't get googly-eyed on all sorts of different stuff, which is something I've done and will still do from time to time. And I do have my googly-eyed bets that I'm going to give you as well that I'm probably going to bet this morning. But waiting is not a bad thing. Waiting on practice qualifying is not a bad thing. Who am I going to bet outright for this race? I don't know. When we're looking at outrights, maybe some top 3s, top 5s, I'm waiting. But I do have several bets that I love. And it could be your entire betting card. And I don't think a lot of it's going to change. If you're catching this after qualifying, you're waiting for odds to refresh on FanDuel or DraftKings, I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement. I really don't. Because when we look at the way the sportsbooks treat the NASCAR field this time of year, they are so heavy on the playoff guys, as they should be to some degree because they've proven to be the best drivers in the series, except for Joey Logano, Mickey Mouse shit. But everybody else, yes. And when you look at all the favorites, I'm pulling up FanDuel right now. The top 6 favorites, top 7 favorites, playoff drivers: Larson, Reddick, Bell, Byron, Blaney, Hamlin, Elliott. I think that gives you some opportunity. Truex at 20-1 is appealing, by the way. I already tweeted if he wins, I'll shave my mullet. Don't want that to happen. But Martin Truex was really good last year, and he got the pole last year, so maybe Truex could be a good pre-practice bet. Anything else outright related, fine waiting on. I want to see who's fast because typically, at a high-wear racetrack like this in Miami, practice speeds on the long run are pretty indicative of who's going to have speed on Sunday. So I'm fine with waiting on that. But like I said, I do have some bets that I like. I'm pulling up DraftKings because I think this is where it's at. Yep, right here. No, wait. I always forget how DraftKings has an unreal amount of matchups, which is good. But the one that I'm focusing on, Chase Elliott minus 125 over Joey Logano. This is a lock in my mind. This is a lock. About to sneeze. Give me a second. And it went away. Of course it went away. Okay. Joey Logano's locked in. And the 2 upcoming tracks are Martinsville and Phoenix. And remember, we run different packages. We got the short track package we're going to run at Martinsville. And I don't think we run it at Phoenix. But I'll have to check on that. I don't remember. Because Phoenix is like slightly over a mile in length. But Homestead means nothing to these guys. I mean, fucking nothing. In 2022, when Joey Logano did the same thing, locked himself into the championship 4, he came here and ran 18th. I mean, and that doesn't even need to be the biggest, just about to sneeze again. Fuck. Might notice Rocky's not behind me. He's sitting in the crate right now because he took a shit on the floor this morning. And that pissed me off. But typically you would see the crew chief behind me with the blanket. But it's really annoying that I can't get the sneeze out. It's going to bother me. But back to this matchup. Chase Elliott over Joey Logano. This to me is worth probably a 3-unit play. And I think you'll see it on Action Network. I'll have it reflected. Now, when we look at Joey Logano and Chase Elliott, outside of Las Vegas, Chase Elliott has been much better than Joey Logano on every other 1.5 to 2 mile racetrack that features, just a non-super speedway. I mean, anything from Indy to Pocono to Kansas to Texas, Chase Elliott has been better. Las Vegas is the only one that Joey Logano has gotten Chase Elliott head-to-head. I don't include Nashville in that. Don't include Darlington. If you include Darlington, they're 1-1, but it's hard to include a track like that when we're talking about Homestead-Miami Speedway. But in most relative racetracks in 2024, I don't know the exact number. I think Elliott's like 6-2 head-to-head against Joey Logano. And we look at Joey Logano, he won Las Vegas, sure, and Penske has a great resume at Las Vegas. Like, when you look at Penske's success at that racetrack, Joey Logano and Team Penske could be ass at every mile and a half, every intermediate all year long, just like they have been in 2024. But they'll go to Vegas and just have speed. And I know Joey won it on fuel mileage, but he had like a 7th, 8th place car. He could have beat Chase Elliott on speed. He did in Vegas in the spring. He did beat Chase Elliott on speed. So my point is, Vegas with Joey Logano in the Gen 7 era is a complete anomaly when you consider who's got speed at a racetrack like this one behind me. And while this isn't Chase Elliott's best racetrack, let's consider the playoff situation, kind of how I started it. Joey Logano, this track means nothing to them. Nothing. They're in the Final Four, no matter what. And Phoenix has no bearing. I mean, this track has no bearing on what we're going to see at Phoenix, what the teams are going to bring to Phoenix. Nothing. The only thing you could consider is momentum, I guess. But they haven't had speed at all at these type of racetracks. And Chase Elliott has. This is a slam dunk bet. The only way Chase Elliott loses this is if he crashes, has some kind of mistake, some type of fucked up issue. It's a slam dunk bet. 3-unit max play, lock of the universe. We've had a lot of big plays on this episode, but if you're talking about Cup, this is the best play. This is the best bet of the weekend. Chase Elliott head-to-head versus Joey Logano. No doubt in my mind. The only way this loses is if Chase Elliott crashes, and we've seen some chaotic moments at this track over the past couple years, but most of the time it's been pretty good, natural, green flag racing dating back to 2021 and even further when you consider the history of this racetrack with the progressive banking. So give me Chase Elliott all day. Head-to-head matchup over Joey Logano. Lock of the universe. Come back and thank me when that hits. Along with the Austin Hill over William Sawalich and Corey Heim outright in the trucks. Please. I'd appreciate it. Now, there's our analytical and our just perfect bet for any type of metric you're looking for. Analytics, eye test, feel. That's what we got. Chase Elliott over Joey Logano. Now it's time for the googly-eyed bets. Top 10s. We're going to look at top 10s here on FanDuel. They just give the best top 10 lines ever. And kind of what I mentioned earlier, we're going to go back to the playoff situation. Top 6 favorites, 6 playoff drivers. And then you have Truex and then Logano. I feel like the bias on the playoff guys definitely allows for some better value underneath them. And I'm looking at 4 guys for a top 10 finish. And I'm going to think about putting a unit on all 4 of them, really. I mean, we may be in a position where I may not even bet an outright on Sunday. Possible. Maybe unlikely, but I really, really like what I'm building here with the Chase Elliott matchup and then banking on one of these 4 guys to get a top 10. Zane Smith, 11-1 via FanDuel. Justin Haley, 11-1 via FanDuel. Now, bear with me. I know if you followed my bets last week, we had a great week. We had Joey Logano, 18-1. But we definitely should have cashed on Justin Haley top 10. I hate that we didn't because he was getting passed by fucking like Harrison Burton at the end of that race. It was ridiculous. When all these guys wreck, Justin Haley's up to 5th place. And once you had a long green flag run, they just fell off. But I'm sticking with that Spire mentality. Their performance as a full unit outside of Hocevar, or combining Hocevar with Haley and Zane Smith, their performance has been exceptional relative to the first half of the season. So we're going to start with that. We're going to bet both Zane Smith, Justin Haley for a top 10. I'm going to bet on Ricky Stenhouse for a top 10. He's had some good finishes here in the past. Top 15 to the next gen era. Give me Ricky Stenhouse. This seems like a good track for him. Fits his driving style a little bit. I like him sitting at 11-1 as well. And then we're going to go to Ryan Preece, 17-1. This guy's been sneaky. And I'm looking at this right now. Michael McDowell, 14-1 for top 10. I know they've kind of struggled in the latter half of the season, but they've had speed. They've had glimpses where they could do it. I might have 5. But when we look at Ryan Preece, they always qualify poorly. They don't practice well. They never show up on the speed chart. But they just find a way. It seems like so many times in 2024, you see Ryan Preece sneak up into the top 15 at the end of these races, which I'm going to look right now. We're going to pull up the NASCAR app and check out what Ryan Preece has done as of recent. Now, you know, some of this, you need a little bit of chaos, right? And we've gotten some chaos that has helped guys out like Ryan Preece. But Kansas, P16. Bristol, P7. Watkins Glen, P9. Darlington, P12. Michigan, P11. I mean, when you look at Preece, not all similar racetracks, but, you know, you could look at Michigan, Darlington, Kansas, and I know Kansas was a P16, but my point here is for a guy that's 17-1 for a top 10, we're kind of finding him in the mix a lot between 10th and 20th. And that's important to me because you get a couple big wrecks. We saw issues with playoff guys in both 2022 and 2023. We've seen our share of chaos, especially in the late stages of our chase for the championship. Should be called the chase. Should not be called the playoffs. If you disagree, fuck you, respectfully. But when you see Ryan Preece in the mix, it kind of speaks to what he's done as a driver and what that team's doing, even with SHR folding at the end of the year. And, you know, what's the point, right? Well, give some morale for a guy that we think is looking for a ride for 2025, even though some rumors may say otherwise with RFK. But 17-1 for a top 10. Love that. Love that. Get a little bit of chaos. Ryan Preece has ran well before at this track in the past. Yeah, I'll take a Ryan Preece 17-1. So recapping that, Justin Haley top 10, Zane Smith top 10, Ricky Stenhouse top 10, and Ryan Preece top 10. 11-1, 11-1, 11-1, and 17-1, respectively. Fuck, and I'm almost even... I mean, Michael McDowell, 14-1. One of these guys is going to get a top 10. Book it right now. Somebody's going to get a top 10, and if you tail all of them, you're going to get a 10-1 outright. You're going to get a 10-1 outright play just from a top 10. You watch. You watch. It's going to happen. Anyway, that's what I got for Cup. We've already got a huge betting slate of picks between Trucks, Xfinity Cup, qualifying, the race. Oh, I hadn't done one of these in a couple weeks. I'm kind of gassed. And I've got like allergies acting up right now. But that's okay. Good to be back and doing a Dalescenter. Remember, all my unit allocations will be posted in the Dalescenter NASCAR Discord. The link is below in my YouTube description, as well as all my other links for Twitter, Instagram. I'll post some of them there as well. But if you're in the Discord, you will not miss a bet. Just make sure you join that if you want to see all my unit allocations. Now, for the NASCAR Cup Series, race bets, that link is also below. That is exclusively on the Action Network app. It's free to download. It's a great hub for a lot of very talented NASCAR betting experts, or not just NASCAR betting experts, but experts in the NFL, NBA. We know NBA just tipped off, college football as well. So be sure to download the app using the link below, and you can see all my NASCAR Cup Series bets for the race on that app, and a lot of other cool shit as well. And it's easy to track your own stuff. It's just a fantastic app that helps you out as a sports bettor and makes you better. Yeah, good pun there. No, appreciate you guys for watching. Check all that stuff out, and don't miss the bet. Going to be back here on Dalescenter. I'll have more for the NASCAR Cup Series Straight Talk Wireless 400 after practice, after qualifying. And like I said, links are all below, and they state everything you need to know to reinforce everything that I keep fucking rambling about. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the racing this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun with a triple header. Enjoy NFL Sunday. That's been a lot of fun too. Getting back into football and everything else you got going on. It's going to be a fun weekend. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure, if I help you win money, like, share, subscribe here on YouTube. We've been red hot recently. Hopefully we'll keep that going, and hopefully you'll be back here thanking me. If not, go fuck yourself. Respectfully.